State. Listen, guys, Florida State is not the best team in the ACC. Before y'all go to the comment section, okay? Florida State almost lost to Boston College. Almost lost to Clemson, which should have lost to both of them teams. They should have back-to-back losses this year, okay? Boston College had like 18 penalties, which was a Boston College school record, right? And then you had Clemson that, if you watch that game, don't look at the score. Just watch the game. You would have thought that Clemson won the game. Clemson was far better in that game this past Saturday than Florida State. Florida State just had all the right pieces come together. And I'm going to be honest, Florida State's not the best team in the ACC. What's your thoughts about that, Ballard?
I understand what you're getting at here. I get it. I understand it. I can't even say it without laughing. Mayhem, the eye test has shown that Florida State looks pretty dominant this year. So, they're a good team. I know you're not saying they're not a good team. You're just saying they're not the best in the ACC. My question to you would be, who is?
So I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to go ahead and answer it with Miami. Miami's back. Miami. Miami's the best team in the ACC right now. I know they started the season versus Miami of Ohio and beat them 38-3. And faced Texas A&M and beat them. They almost put a 50 burger on them. Bethune-Cookman beat them 48-7, and then Temple, they went on the road to Temple and beat them 41-7. I understand that they haven't really faced nobody except for Texas A&M. They get a bye week to get ready for Georgia Tech, and Miami's probably going to beat them as well. And then I would even say another team that's better right now than Florida State is North Carolina. You beat a really good South Carolina team, had a lot of momentum from last year coming into the season, beat them 31-17. You struggle with Appalachian State, but you still get the win. You beat Minnesota Gophers and you beat Pitt convincingly. They have a bye week as well to get ready for the Syracuse Orange. But there's quite a few teams that are undefeated. Duke is another one that comes to mind whenever I think of better than Florida State. They beat a top 10 at the time Clemson Tigers team. They beat, which Florida State also beat them too. They beat the Lafayette Leopards, which nobody cares about that. Speaking of Northwestern, Duke handled Northwestern pretty well, 38-14, and then went on the road at UConn and beat them 41-7. They get ready to face Notre Dame at home. If Duke beats Notre Dame, I think Duke will have a better resume than Florida State. What's your thoughts?
I agree with you about Duke. They do have a tough game coming up against Notre Dame. It would look good on their resume. I think the only good win for Florida State so far, honestly, is a down Clemson team and then LSU week 1. So I get what you're coming from, and they did struggle against Clemson. The thing about Florida State for me is this. When I see a team like Florida State, I see a team that has great talent. I'm sure you're not denying that either. We can both agree they have good talent. It's just one of those things, like, do you trust them later on, and do you trust them if they were to make the playoffs? Dude, I'm going to go ahead and lock in my national title pick. I'm telling you, I know you don't see it, but Florida State, man, is going to run that table. And national title, your Georgia Bulldogs.
Look, it's very hard to three-peat, right? But if we get put up against Florida State, we're going to beat them. That's just facts. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So far,
Okay.
I'm not really. Listen, I understand Florida State's undefeated. So is Louisville. So is North Carolina. So is Duke. So is, so is all these other teams in the ACC. Does that really mean anything going into Week 5 that you're 4-0? No, I understand you beat Clemson. You shouldn't have. I understand that you beat LSU at the beginning of the year. I know it's not a home game, but you was basically in your own backyard. And yeah, anybody can get up for one game. If that game was played all over again, do you really beat LSU? I don't think so. LSU is a team that always struggles in the beginning of the year, that we saw last year as well, and then they progressively get better as the schedule goes along. Listen, listen, guys, I'm a Florida State hater, so Florida State is not the best team in the ACC. I would say North Carolina and Miami right now are both better than Florida State. Right now, I would even say Clemson is better, but I know Florida State won the game, so I can't actually say that Florida State is not better than Clemson because they won the game outright. So you got to give credit to where credit's due. So right now, my teams that are better is Duke, North Carolina, and Miami.